Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Spiral Out, the podcast where we talk about music and movies, merch and memorabilia, art and artists, collectors and their collections. And we also talk about the Toolverse and Tool, posters, stuff. Be sure to tune in after the episode to hear about a giveaway that we're doing. It's going to be fun. Check it out. On this week's episode, we have Ben Conallin, an artist from Melbourne, Australia, who's doing some very, very cool monster designs and paintings. I really enjoyed talking with Ben. He is a great guy. He took the time to sit down with us and talk all about his art and how he creates it, his experience with Tool. He just put up with me for about an hour. We talk about a lot of different pieces of his art and other things. So if you want to see those, please go on the Instagram page or the Facebook page for the podcast at Spiral Out Pod and check those out while you're listening to the episode. They're very cool. He does a great job. Be sure to listen at the end of the episode where I'm going to talk about a giveaway. Thank you for listening. Spiral Out. For everybody listening, on today's episode, we have Ben Conallin. He did the art that went on the Sacramento poster for Tool's run this year. You're the second artist we've had on, but I feel like your experience is going to be completely different than the last artist that we talked to. Do you mind starting off there of how your poster became a Tool poster?
Okay. Well, I did that image a while back last year, and I feel like when I was painting, I thought, oh God, this is just, I don't know, for some reason it reminds me of Tool. I don't know why. You know, I've got my image of what Tool is in inside my head. And then I thought, I'm just going to muck around, put like a font of the Tool logo on there, and I'll just post it up on my Facebook and on my Instagram. And that's kind of how that came about and how it actually came to be an actual poster for it. That was something that I think that there's an artist, you guys would probably know Alan Williams.
Yeah, he's done quite a few prints for them.
Yeah. He sent me a message after I posted and said, I really love this. I'm going to send it to Adam. And I was like shaking from that. You know, he must have sent it off. I mean, I didn't hear anything for ages. And just as a little side note, when I did my podcast with Chet, at the end of that, after I told that story and after we stopped our recording, Chet Zar also told me that he didn't want to say anything because, he didn't want to feel like that he was, saying, oh, I sent it too. But he actually sent that same image to Adam as well. And he said, look, this guy hasn't asked me to send it. I'm just sending, because I think it's a really cool image. So I think both those guys had a hand in it. Even though Adam was following me on Instagram. Yeah, the rest is history because Adam contacted me, was it about a few months before Christmas, and said, I'd heard you like to do a Tool poster for one of the shows.
Oh, yeah, kind of. Just casually, yeah. I heard you want to do a Tool poster, huh?
Oh, man, I like that. I couldn't, like I've said this on Chet's podcast as well, but I could not read that message half an hour. I was kind of shaking nervous. Holy hell, Adam Jones is contacting me. Because I'm still a fanboy inside as well.
Yeah.
And then I said, yeah, totally. And he said that his management will be in contact with me, and then that was that.
Did you do any re-editing of the image after?
A little bit.
Did he say specifically what image he wanted?
But when the management contacted me, they said, if you already have an image or you want to make one, and I didn't know what the time limit was. So I just thought, I've got this cool image that I really like that reminds me of Tool. So I'm just going to send that in. And I just did like a couple of little touch-ups in there before I sent it off. And they do what they want with it as well.
So
putting in the font.
So how long till you figured out it was the Sacramento poster?
The day.
The day of?
The day of, yeah. Because I was in some Tool groups and I saw, because I was following what posters were coming out, and then somebody had this picture of one of the merchandise people holding up one of the T-shirts. I thought, oh, that's my design. And then a couple of people started to catch on because I think they were following me on Facebook or whatever, and then just a flood of messages like you wouldn't believe. It was
how many?
So
like over 500?
I don't know if it was 500, but it was enough to know about halfway through the day I thought I cannot look at my phone anymore. And I just had to get away from the beeping of my phone kind of thing. It was just full on, because when I've been doing art for a while, but nobody's been contacting me like that.
Yeah.
At all.
What were most of the message about? Just when you're going to do a drop? How can I get a print?
Do a drop? Yeah, can I get a print? And after a while, I just had to stop reading them. It was just because you can't answer them all, and they just keep coming in, and you just need to take a break. You just need to walk away from your phone.
Are you still getting that many messages?
No, but I'm not getting that many messages, but I'm still getting messages about it. So yeah.
Looking at your Instagram, it seems like that piece evolved over time. Because on Instagram, it looks like 4 or 5 similar images, and then all of a sudden this grand tool image.
Some of like sometimes I might just post like the start of a sketch midway through it until I can get it where I want it, kind of thing. Yeah.
Did you have a name for this painting?
No, I don't name any of my pieces really. I think I've got like a collection of red kind of figures and demons that I just call red hell, but I don't individually name each piece. I just can't be bothered. I don't know. I just can't be bothered, or I just can't think of anything.
No, I get it.
I don't know.
I would be hard pressed to name some of these. I mean, they're just so grand and like powerful looking and extra dimensional, and
yeah.
Again, you made them, so but I mean, just from a guy looking at them, I'm very curious about one. This is going to be a ridiculous question, but all of your monsters seem to be in really good shape.
They do work out in hell.
I'm wondering if there are any overweight monsters in hell. Are these all in hell, by the way?
It'd be more an underworld kind of thing.
Like some extra dimensional type thing.
Yeah, I guess you could put it like that. I mean, I've like a little underlying thing that I think about when I'm doing them, as far as where they'd be living and stuff, and a little bit of a history.
That was my next question: is do you have like a universe or story, or do the individual characters or paintings have a backstory?
No, they're all part of the same kind of world. They're just different variations on it. Oh God, I mean, I don't want to sound like a wanker when I come off like talking about it.
No, sound like a wanker, man.
So basically, what I think about is there's a world deep down underneath ours. These beings, whatever you want to call them, demons, collect all the bones or whatever's left of a human once they've been buried at earth. They take that and then just mold them into themselves. In a way, it's more of a beautiful and elegant look than what we could ever come up with here on earth, kind of thing. Now, that kind of, disgusting part of what's happened up there, and they turn it into something beautiful down there.
No, I
can, the best way I could describe it.
I can completely see that. It's very symmetrical. And again, they're, very elegant looking bodies, lots of skulls. Again, the symmetry is what stands out to me a lot, Again, I hope I don't sound like a wanker describing your art, but to me, a lot of them look like just twisted demon butterflies.
That's a good way to look at it as well. Yeah. For me, I'd love to touch one of these things. I love to run my fingers over and
do you think it would
kind of see how it's all connected.
Do you think it would be slimy?
Some of them would be. Some of them would be just dry. I don't know. It's a big I just touch these things. I'm very fascinated by them as well. And I just find them really beautiful in my eyes anyway. Yeah.
No, I think you again, I don't know much about psychology, but I think you would have to because you do so many. I mean, you have hundreds and hundreds on your Instagram, right? I mean, I'm scrolling through it right now, and as we're talking, just to get references. But no, I can see the beauty in them. Like they don't necessarily. It's actually one of my questions is, do you think all of them are evil?
That's a good question because I've thought of that myself. I guess it depends on the day. Some could be, some might not be. Yeah, that's the best way I could put it.
When I look at some of them, I kind of see it as like omnipotence, maybe, where it's like they're indifferent. They may evil, but they may without even thinking help. I don't know. It's again, you're right. It's hard to explain because they're so wicked looking, but they don't necessarily look like they would give a shit about what humans are doing.
No. They're more interested in what comes down into their world, kind of thing. I'm just trying to. In a way, I don't find them scary.
Okay.
Sure, they may look a bit scary, but I don't want them to be obviously scary. I don't want like things. I mean, I like watching movies and stuff with big creatures and, if they have big teeth or big eyes, but I don't want my stuff to look like that. I don't make them overly gory. I don't do big teeth, big eyes or anything like that. That just doesn't just like sublime kind of look. And
I really don't want to spend a whole lot of time on this because I think it's a little bit.
It's okay.
No, not on what we're talking about, but what I'm about to ask you. Just because I think it's a little rude, but obviously there's some Geiger influences.
Oh, totally.
Are you a fan of the movie Prometheus?
Yep.
And so you have
I love Prometheus and Alien Covenant. I love them both.
Yeah. So what are they called? The big guys that are in the cocoon / things.
Engineers.
Engineers. That's right. I don't necessarily think they're evil, but they can, crush your skull in like a second. But I think when I look at your stuff, I definitely see that kind of emotion, I guess, where it's just like this powerful being that has other shit to do than be scary. It just happens to look that way. Yeah. That's just my interpretation.
Yeah. No. I mean, the main thing that I drew away from H.R. Giger, besides, he's just an awesome artist and he has beautiful, intricate stuff. I really love the elegance of his stuff.
Yeah.
That for me is the big takeaway from his work that I really liked. And that's kind of what I put into that. Yeah.
I'm going to ask another weird question.
That's okay.
It's even hard for me to ask. I think some of them in their own weird way, like you say, beautiful. I think almost even sexy.
Yeah.
Like they're just certain curves. I mean, this one I'm looking at right now only has half a head, but I mean, those curves are just, they're pretty hot.
Well, I try to make it like, are they a he or a she? Like, I don't really put breasts on them, but most of them I don't even put pecs on them as well. I want that in between kind of thing. The reason probably why I don't name them, up to the viewer's discretion. Like,
did Tool end up contacting you after you submitted anybody from their management or anything contact you after you submitted the poster?
No, but I remember, but on the day, later on in the day here, I messaged Adam and just thanked him very much for giving me the opportunity to do it. And he replied back, "Oh, you're a really great artist and thanks for contributing." And so, I was just stoked about that.
Yeah, I'd be stoked.
It's awesome, man. It's totally awesome. Like, I was spinning out. Like, these are guys, that I've grown up with and listened to their music, and Adam's an artist as well. And I love the music he makes. I love the art that he puts out. It's wild. It's wild to have that happen. And my family, my brothers, especially my older brother who loves Tool as well, like, he freaked out. My girlfriend was freaking out. It's just really cool when you have people who you look up to ask you to do something for them. So it's just really nice.
Did you get any free tickets?
No.
Dang. None of the artists that I've talked to got free tickets, which I can't really say anything bad about.
Well, it probably would have been pretty hard for me to get over there. I mean, because I know that they had their tour. Well, they toured Fear Inoculum before COVID hit.
Yeah.
They'd been over to Melbourne and I think to Sydney as well. Plus, it just would have been hard for me to get over there anyway.
How's the reception been from fans? Like, other than, can you give me a print? Or when are you going to do your drop?
That is the main question. But everybody's been really cool. Like when mine dropped, I was very curious to see what a lot of the fans thought about it, just being on the Facebook pages and seeing what they said about the poster. And most of it was pretty positive, which was really good to hear.
Can you remember any of the negative ones?
Not really. Just some people say, "Oh, it's all right. It's all right. I want to see what else is coming up."
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
No,
so it's funny looking at it from that perspective. It's definitely funny.
Yeah, you being the creator of it. I agree. I have been able to put out things and have some perspective of the people that don't like what I've put out. And no, I think it's more comical than anything, because you're just like, yeah, I'm not going to make everybody happy. It's impossible.
No, you can't. You just can't. You can't. And I mean, I've seen other artists' posters drop, and some people have just been absolutely brutal.
Oh yeah, no, I know which posters you're talking about. We don't have to mention them because I hope they come on and talk about them eventually. But
I mean, for me, like, there's been some posters that I haven't liked as much as some other ones or whatever. But I do appreciate Adam putting other artists out there, giving everybody a different, because not everybody's into the same things, and someone out there might really like what these other artists put out. So it's good that he's doing these kind of things. It just gives an audience for a lot of artists that wouldn't have it.
You're not only an audience, but fat stacks of money for a time being. If you know how to put out your posters, there's some artists that are doing it really well, and there's some artists that I don't think they know what they have or know the market. If that makes any sense.
No, I mean, I've spoken to a few of the artists, and I've even, I've had a couple that have asked me, "Oh, what are you going to charge for this? What are you going to be charging for that?" kind of thing, because they don't understand or don't know what's going on out there, kind of thing, because they're just not in that kind of world.
And I'm guessing that, from being a fan and being in the poster groups before because you were in those groups before they picked your poster, correct?
Yeah.
So you definitely have an understanding of how that community works, and it's wild.
Oh, it's great. It's absolutely mental. I've never, I collect statues and things like that, but I didn't know that there was this massive poster thing going on, until it started to happen, and just how crazy it gets. But I see a lot of the same arguments that are put forward for the posters that I see in the collecting world with statues and figurines, and it's just really interesting to see. It's all exactly the same.
What is it? What are the
as far as the pricing of certain things, what people are asking, what else would you call it? Like the scalping thing.
Okay.
The scalpers, and
there are people scalping sculptures and figures.
Yeah, like people will buy up a whole lot of a certain figure, kind of hoard them, and then start to sell them later on down the line, kind of thing. Yeah, it's the same kind of things. Collectibles is collectibles, I think, and it's always, you've just got to draw the line at where your budget is. I think that's the most important thing.
I have a big problem with drawing the line where my budget is. That's for sure. I have to sometimes just sit there and go, do I need Chet Sar's doodle right now?
See any of this.
Because it dropped today. And
oh, really?
Yeah, his remarks and doodled signed posters for the I forget what the name of that poster is. The Schismatic, I think.
Oh yeah.
And of course, I bought one.
Just
Yeah, it just is what it is.
The way it is.
And it wasn't
collectors, man. Collectors.
Yeah, it wasn't a bad price either. I just have to be very careful of when my significant other is around to talk about how much those things really are. I just have to keep reminding her that, these are investments. And, if we really wanted to sell them, we'd be all right for a while. I have a good job. It's fine. Speaking of jobs.
Just winning over that argument is the hard thing.
I just don't tell it anymore.
There you go.
Like you have your money, I have my money. I'm gonna buy this Chet Zar doodle. Speaking of jobs, you here are a personal trainer.
Yeah.
How do you balance that with what you're doing? Here's another question. Is that why all your creatures are in shape? Is because you're a personal trainer?
No, I think that's from the HR Giga thing.
Right.
No, it's quite easy actually because I work mornings. Now I may have clients from just like 6 to 9 or 6 to 10, and then I don't have another lot of clients till like 5 or 6 till about 9 at night, 9:30 at night. So it gives me that daytime to just try and get more art done.
Have you ever?
Which is just handy as hell.
Yeah, no, it's great. That's a great schedule. Speaking of working out, working through the day, have you ever drawn a creature that wasn't in darkness? No. These are questions that just pop into my brain. I'm sorry, man.
Well, actually, I have for when I was working on a video game. That was probably about the only time because you have to show more. You have to show more of the front and the back kind of thing. I prefer just to see my creature coming out of the darkness and giving you just enough that you go, okay, that's that kind of thing.
I think the main thing that I haven't touched on yet, but it's definitely the most interesting thing to me about your posters or paintings is that your creatures seem to be molded into the environment around them.
Well, if I've done an environment with them, I like to kind of incorporate it in. Some of them I can't even tell where they end and where they start kind of thing, as far as the heads get so crazy that I don't fit them all into the frame. Kind of be part of all or part of hanging from something or, yeah.
Now, I'm curious, this is going to be a cliche question about something like that, but is there an emotional place that comes from? Again, a metaphor for like what is around you is taking you over.
Like I'm not I'm a pretty happy-go-lucky person.
Fair enough.
And when I'm painting, all I want to do is just create the wildest kind of creature, and I just have fun with it. I just really love it, and I don't have any kind of
emotional baggage
stuff or anything. No. It's all purely from a fun and enjoyment.
I think that makes it even better.
I love drawing these things. What's that?
I think that makes it even better because you're just like, this is fun, this is cool, this is awesome. This is just what you like and what you're passionate about.
Yeah. I just love going super dark with it. I just find real enjoyment out of it. And then after I'm finished a painting, or while I'm painting, I'll be sending my girlfriend some cat videos or some dog videos that I find really funny. Just really stupid stuff. Yeah.
I think I spend about half my time at work sending and receiving dog and cat videos with my girlfriend as well. I mean, it's just,
good.
It's just, it's the best way to get through about 11:30 to 2:00.
Yeah. It always makes you feel good, though, doesn't it? Yeah, it's just amazing.
I got 4 dogs.
I love them. Dogs are the best.
I got 4 pit bulls, and they're sweethearts.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
So I have another question about your paintings. In my opinion, and I could be wrong, a lot of them seem to have translucent skin. Is that just an effect, or am I seeing this wrong?
No, you're seeing it right. I'd kind of like the challenge of trying to do the translucent thing as well, and I just kind of like the look of that on them.
It looks great. I'm very curious how do you create that? Because you're looking at it and you're like, all right, there's this thing, whatever it is, but there's also something underneath it.
Well, there's a really good trick, and it always ends with just the one thing you put at the end, which is a white highlight. But generally, you kind of paint something dark. You use the airbrush effect over the top of it to kind of add this light thing over the top. And once you put that little white highlight on, it just sells it.
Yeah,
see-through.
I'm looking at it right now, and I see it.
I picked that up a while ago.
What do you think was the most difficult one that you've painted? Whether it was just time or Frustration.
That one I did for the tour one took me a while. I remember spending quite a few hours on that. There's another big one that has this big kind of, well, it doesn't even have a face. It has like this big bone thing, and it has all these kind of ridges of bones below it.
I see it.
I guess I should give them names. It'd make it easier.
No, I see the one you're talking about. It's very symmetrical, right? And it has like the layers. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, so probably those two. It's funny because you can start off doing it, you'll just do like the basics for it. And because your imagination knows what it's going to look like, so sometimes you go, I don't even want to put any more on it. But then you think, well, the audience is not going to know what you're thinking. So you've got to start rendering up some and putting some more detail in it. Sometimes I just like the rough and ready look of certain things, but then I think you got to render them more. And rendering takes the longest out of all the things.
Can you explain to me what rendering is?
Okay. Rendering is everything look like it should look like. Like, so if I do a skull, I want it to just have everything in there that it needs to be a skull. Legs, I need everything that it needs. Spending time on all the details, which make it clearer to see.
Like textures.
Adding all the details.
And
adding all the
textures
details.
And stuff.
Yeah, all that kind of stuff to sell it.
So you said you also collect things.
Yeah.
Can you go into can you tell me about some of the things you collect? Because this podcast is also about collections.
Yeah, totally. I can walk into the next room and show you if you wanted to.
You could, but
you just want to talk about it.
Yeah, no, they're not going to see any of the video. I'd love to see it.
Okay. I collect statues and figures. So I have so these are from brands like Soft Show Collectibles, Queen Studios, Prime One Studios. So I have like a scale Pennywise. Mm-hmm. Got a third scale Pennywise as well. So that's, when I say half scale, it's half the size of what the actual Pennywise would be.
So it's like 3.5 feet tall?
Yeah, for the Pennywise, yeah. And I collect, I've got couple of Predator statues that are probably about 28 inches tall.
So these aren't small figures.
But I do have some smaller ones. Like I'll collect some 1/6 scale figures. So I've got a couple of Daniel Craig, James Bonds. I've got Alien, Underworld.
No, I think that's super cool. I've seen the Joker one that you had. It's
yeah.
It's extremely lifelike.
That was amazing.
Yeah. No, it looks
I
like
can't believe how much I spent on that.
Please tell, because
that was about $5,500.
Ooh, and how big was it?
That was 1/3 scale.
So about 2 feet.
And I'd spent that much money on anything ever, and I was shitting myself spending that money, but I loved it. It was beautiful. Well, what's that? It's probably about 5 tool posters.
It depends on the tool poster.
Well, there you go.
There's some Alex Gray signed Remarks ones that are probably going to go for close to that,
Easily?
Yeah.
It does sound crazy to be at one of those merch stands trying to get a poster. From what I've just seen on the Facebook pages,
Well, I went to 6 shows this tour.
Yeah.
So 3 in general admission, 3 in VIP. They both have their own chaos, so to speak.
Yeah.
You have to be very focused, smart, fast, and lucky all at the same time.
It sounds full on. Like
it's wild. I flew my best friend out. I went to the last 3 shows in it was Moline, St. Louis, and Cleveland. And in St. Louis, I just had a normal general admission ticket. So I'm like, my best friend has a couple of kids, doesn't really get to travel much, really into Tool. I'll fly you out. Let's just go to the show together and experience this together. Now we waited in line, and he has no idea about the poster stuff. He lives vicariously through me. We showed up, we did it, and he got those 2 posters, and I'd never seen anybody so happy in their entire life. Just to have waited in line for 7 hours, run to the merch line, and somebody hand you those posters, and then you walk away, and literally 30 seconds later they go, we're out of posters.
Wow.
And
7 hours, man. I can't.
That's nothing.
It's hard to fathom. Shit. Oh my God. What do you get somebody to hold your spot? Like when you got to go.
If you're lucky, if you're lucky. in that situation, I was pretty lucky. I had a friend so he would go sleep for 4 or 5 hours, come back. I'd go sleep for 4 or 5 hours, get some food, get some rest, and just do that until about 6 o'clock or like 4 o'clock in the morning, the day of the show. And then you just gotta like hold your spot and hope nothing goes wrong.
Haven't experienced anything like that.
No, there's rules and etiquette, and people are handing out. They'll do two things. They'll either mark your hand, what space you were in. So if you showed up first, you get a 1 on your hand, and they're supposed to uphold that throughout the 30 some odd hours you're there. But it never works out. As soon as the people come out, the merch people, and they go, "Hey, we're going to move this line 10 feet over," it's complete chaos. I recorded
the mayhem.
I have recordings from when I was at a show and they moved people 10 feet and people were fighting and screaming at each other. It's nuts. I'm sure your poster, and I don't mean to be mean, but caused some demon-esque things to happen during its release. This is a good question. How do you feel that there were people there that literally all they wanted all day for 24 hours was to get their hands on your art?
It's wild. Like, because I'd turn to my girlfriend during the day and say, people are buying my t-shirt or buying my poster at the show tonight, and they're walking around with it, or they've got the t-shirt on, and it's wild. It's so wild for me to think about that, because
not only are they wearing it, they are so happy that they were lucky enough to get one. Here's the other thing you may not realize. Not only are there people out there that are buying that, from the merch booth, there are people out there that are buying it from other people at 10 times the price because it's so cool.
It's just funny because you just sit at home. Like I paint most of my stuff just on my bed on my iPad. So, and that's as far as it gets for me. And like to have something like that,
a mob of
kind of thing,
of people just running to a merch booth to get their hands.
Never in a million years think that.
Well, it happened, my friend. It definitely happened. There was a mob of people that ran as fast as they could to a merch booth just to get their hands on one of your paintings. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Like you had your podcast with Chet Zar, right?
Yeah.
Did you talk to him before that at all?
We just had probably 10 minutes before we started recording. Yeah.
Did you end up in that podcast? You said you had bought some stuff from his store, correct?
No, I hadn't. I used to go down to an internet cafe and look at his work.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
and because
I was so in love with it,
and you used to print it out.
I didn't have the internet at home.
Have you ended up getting one yet? After that?
No.
We got to get you one, man.
Hell with this! I'm getting on a plane, getting over to his place. Kick down his door. I love Chet. He's amazing. He's an amazing painter.
Yeah, no,
I love his stuff.
I definitely gravitate more towards. What's funny is I'm kind of in the same level as you. I'm pretty happy-go-lucky guy. I'm really nice, but I tend to gravitate towards, especially stuff like yours, which has a lot of symmetry to it.
Oh yeah,
I dig it a lot. And I know we've kind of just tangented in this podcast and had just a normal conversation. I haven't really been asking stuff. Here's a really ridiculous question, but I have to ask it. Is this just a Facebook and Instagram thing, or do you always put skulls on all the genitals?
No, generally I put them on nearly all of them. That started like a while back when it'd just be mouths that I'd put there, and now it's kind of turned into skulls gradually. I kind of just like the look of it, and it as a trademark as well. If you see one of my things, you go, "Oh, that's Ben's."
Yeah, because there's a skull where the dick is.
Skull right there. I don't know. I just think it looks cool for some reason,
You don't have to have any explanation. I was just curious more if it was because it was like an Instagram thing and maybe they don't want you to show demon genitalia or something. But
I mean, I probably don't want you showing any genitalia, but I know it's just kind of like that skull there.
You're telling me you don't want to draw? I can't even say it.
No.
People listening knows what I was about to say, and it was out of line. So you kind of said that you've been talking to some of the other artists that were on some of the posters this tour. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Anybody's art you particularly are fond of?
I did like Deborah Sheedy's piece that she did.
Yeah. She sent me a beautiful email.
That, and she's so lucky to do that album cover as well. That was so cool.
I really want her to come. I really want her to come on, but I think she's a little shy about it. Maybe after you do this and you can tell her it's not that bad.
Actually, I will. That who is it? Arcano?
Yeah.
XX something or something like that.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I messaged him when he had his poster out. I loved his poster. He was so happy about it as well. Yeah, I just can't believe how good it's been for a lot of artists. The exposure, get some cash for all this kind of stuff, and they're all so grateful for it. I kind of feel because I do what I do, it's kind of niche, and I don't know whether, I guess it could work for movies. I'd like to do some movie stuff just with some creature design, but I haven't had anybody approach me about that. But that's something I'd love to do, just movies.
So when you're doing your personal training, are these monsters like floating around in there?
No, not real. Normally I'm just concentrating on my job, but just like anything, you walk around life and sometimes a little flash of something or an object will catch your eye because you've seen it from a different angle and you go, and so you'll just put that in the memory bank and come back to it later on. But
I've had a bunch of wrong interpretations, I think, of your art, but I'm going to keep going.
Yeah, go for it.
I feel like some of them are almost in a state of like gestation or like they're coming out of cocoons almost. Like this isn't their full form. These are like...
I like to think because they get bits of stuff added to them or stuff just continually grows or you're just seeing them at one point in a way. And I don't like to do them in like super aggressive stances or stuff like that either. Some of them are going through phases and, just catching a brief, like quarter of a second shot of them.
Have you ever thought about drawing a fairy, my friend? Or like a flower?
Or a bowl of fruit.
A bowl of fruit.
I've never. Actually, the flower thing, I was thinking about that the other day. Like, I do want to have a monster holding some flowers. So there you go. You will get some flowers. But normally... Like, I just couldn't paint flowers, not, just a bunch of flowers. They'd have to be incorporated somehow into a monster.
I would love to see that where you have a creature and it's molding into its atmosphere or its environment, but it may be a little bit more botanical. Let's use botanical. That's the right.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not trying. Don't take any of what I'm saying seriously. I'm not trying to tell you how to do your job. I can't draw a stick figure.
I know.
I can't draw a stick figure to save my life.
Which one's that one? Do you know?
No, I'm asking if there's one where you're just like you have a little bit more emotional attachment to.
There's a few of the red ones that I really like. There's one that's kind of more side on and he has this huge sweeping thing. But the whole piece of it fills up like the whole canvas kind of thing, if you call that, like the digital canvas. That one I told you about with the big bone thing and the bone ridges that are coming down below the bone kind of head, and then you got the ridges down below that. I've kind of got an emotional attachment to that. And
what is that? What does that feel like for you?
It's more that I just really love the design.
Sure.
There's something about the design that I'd never tried before. I was able to pull off some stuff that, I just never tried before, and I took some chances and just things with anatomy that I'd never done before as well that I kind of feel proud of in my little way that I pulled off.
I would really like to know the process of starting one and how it evolves and when you know you're done.
Generally, it starts off like I'll always start with a figure, some figure, but I just always go with a figure, and I almost draw it towards a human form. And from there, that's when I start to add and subtract things, and I'll start pulling stuff or pushing stuff in something that I think would look really cool. So once I've got the form, then I'll start to add some shapes, maybe elongate the head. And then as I'm elongating the head, I'm trying to find other shapes that I could fit into there and other little textures. And it just starts to grow outwards and outwards. And then you just start to refine all those shapes. Start to go, that's a little too big there. I'll just cut off a little bit there. Maybe I need to make this a little bit longer, and just kind of do that until it looks how you like things to look. That's the best I can do, I think.
No worries, man. Again, it's hard to explain, I think, for any artist, their process. Again, speaking with other artists, I've gotten similar answers where they're just like, I kind of figure out what I kind of want to do, and then I just keep working on it, and sometimes I black out, and then all of a sudden it's done. And I'm like, well, there it is.
Well, it's a feeling thing as well. Like, that's the part of it, is trying to figure out whether you can pull off some of these things that you're thinking about. And that's when you start to get into the zone kind of thing of feeling stuff out and trying all these different things to see if they'll work. Some of them do, some of them don't. But you know what you like, after you've been doing it for a while. I know what I like in my creatures. I know what aesthetics things that turn me on.
How do you know when you're done?
Again, that's just a feel thing. Once I feel like you could go on forever, like just,
sure,
adding more detail and more little details kind of thing. But at some point you got to choose an ending. I just feel like once I feel like I've got out what I want to get across in that one, I can't wait to start the next one.
How often do you say you paint every day, but how long does it take you to finish a painting usually? Generally,
it probably takes about, if I was to have a good whack at it, probably a day and a bit.
A day and a bit.
You can have 3-hour sessions or 4-hour sessions. You just don't think about time, and it goes so quick. It all just goes so quick.
So I've done work on iPads and whatnot, and I always seem to not be able to get quite comfortable. I'm wondering, do you have a stand that you use, or because you're drawing for hours on this thing? What's your comfort zone with that?
My comfort zone is lying on my tummy, just with the iPad, just right underneath my eyes, and that's generally how all my paintings have been painted. Unless I say to my girlfriend, I want to go out and have coffee, and I'll just take the iPad along with me and draw while she's on a phone, or we'll just have coffee and I'll just paint for a while. But generally, it's on my tummy.
So you,
because it's comfy,
right? I love laying in that position. You kind of touched on that you get some inspiration from anatomy books. What are some other places that you are getting inspiration from? One of my favorite ones of yours is it almost looks like a female, and it's a very yellowish color. Almost looks like a dress, but then there's this fan of a head that comes around. She or it looks badass, but how does this work? Did you?
Oh,
I'm just wondering where the inspiration comes from some of these.
I've got the artist that I like. Even though, I don't really look at H.R. Giger's stuff much anymore. I haven't really looked at his stuff for years. Even though I love him, I've got my artists like Wayne Barlow, who I love, Alan Williams, who I love. But there's also, things in nature, like looking at animals, looking at bugs especially. I love insects and bugs and the strange shapes that they have. The way their kind of exoskeleton connects together as well. And then there's one way you could look at it. I love bones. I love seeing the human skeleton. I had looking at a close up of a skeleton or some part of a skull. and you really hyperfixate on this one part. But in your mind, you're blowing it out, and you're thinking, what if I put a face in there, and then just carved around, like painting it? Just think of what some strange things that we see on human skeletons could be added to a head or something like that, and then just blow them out even further. But I love the look of that bone kind of thing. So bones play a big part of it, as far as looking at a skeleton up really, really close and seeing certain things and going, oh, that would look good if that was a figure, really, and then just blow it all out even bigger. I think some of them look arrogant.
Definitely.
Have an air of arrogance, because I like to tilt the head up.
Yeah, it's a look of power. I have that written down. They seem to be in very good shape, and they seem to have a very powerful presence. I think that's where, in my opinion, I think that arrogance and power may make them look evil, but not necessarily. They, like you said, they don't have crazy teeth or giant eyes. Some of them have claws, some don't. It's really hard to explain. Try to talk about abstract art.
Oh yeah, it is.
Just like, hey, how did you come up with this fan head thing? And how come all these people's legs are twisted together? And why is that lady over there melting into the wall? Like, what were you feeling when that happened?
They're all just that I want to see, that I think are cool. Everybody else may not think they're cool, but to me, I just think they're cool, and I just go with it.
I think if I saw that Tool poster in real life, I'd look at it for about 30 seconds, and if it made any noise or moved at all, I'd probably shit my pants first. And because how do you tell you can't tell the body language and aura of something like that as it walks close. You're just like, it's going to eat me. No, it's definitely going to eat me. It's definitely going to eat me.
It's a roll of the dice.
Yeah. It's either going to give me superpowers or it's going to eat me. Well, again, I hope this was fun for you. I hope I asked enough Tool questions for the audience. We didn't really touch on the band much. You are a pretty big fan, I'm guessing. You know.
Oh yeah, I've got all the CDs. I've just got that Opiate thing that came in. I've got that LP box set on order, which should be coming next week. I love the band. Absolutely love them.
Is there something?
They just make the most interesting music to me compared to everybody else. Something about it.
And again, I've talked to so many people and I've asked them that same question. What is it about Tool, that makes you want to do a whole piece or at least you associated a piece of something that you did to that band. And a lot of people have the same question. The same answer. It's just something I can't really explain. It's kind of the whole universe, in my opinion, which you are now a part of.
Yeah. It's wild.
No, yeah, you're definitely in cool. I call it the Tooliverse.
I'm so stoked to be part of it, at least a little bit of it,
Okay, why monsters?
They just seem much more interesting to me than anything else kind of thing. I meant to mention on Chet's, but when I was growing up, I loved collecting Masters of the Universe, but I only liked collecting the bad guys. When I was into Star Wars, I only like collecting the bad guys. I love animals, but I'm attracted to, like the lions, the crocodiles and all that kind of stuff. I just find them more interesting kind of thing. I know there's just something about the baddies that just seem more interesting to me. Well, I know the darker stuff that just seems a little bit more interesting.
So when doing pieces like this, how do you think you're going to evolve in the future? Do you have plans of like where you want your creature designs to go? How do you improve on what you're already doing is my question, because they're so intricate and they're so detailed and symmetrical. It's like how do you top that Tool poster?
Oh shit! Now you ask that, I don't know. I don't know. I guess it's just you just keep going and just try and find some new.
I'm sorry if that was a rude question.
No, it's not a rude question. No. I just kind of want to go bigger as well.
I want to see like a Michelangelo type,
Sistine Chapel thing.
Yeah. I'm talking that big.
Like 20 years of my life lying on my back painting a ceiling.
Maybe not on a ceiling, but on because again, with your digital art programs, you can make the canvas as big as you want, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And I'm not saying it would be easy to go that grand and big and detailed. And I could definitely see you doing some type of, and I'm going to sound like an idiot for saying this, it's a Cenobite Sistine Chapel.
That would be awesome.
That would be awesome.
I mean, as time goes on, I may get to make that kind of magnum opus, big dark thing that'd be so much fun to do.
When you do that, will you come back on the show and talk about it?
I definitely will, man. Sure.
I really appreciated this conversation. I really, again, we didn't really talk in person, but until right now, but I think you're an awesome guy. So, and an awesome artist.
Thanks, Chris.
I, like I said, cannot draw a stick figure. So part of my podcast is just learning. I also, I'm finding the line of what's appropriate questions and what's not appropriate questions for artists.
Fine, man. I don't think anybody will be offended by anything you ask.
Fair enough. And part of the goal, I think, when I was doing this podcast is me not being, an artist, is I am learning things about technique, programs, different types of, paintings and different ways of making paintings. And I think me asking what I may or may not be dumb questions is helping the average Tool listener appreciate something like what you're doing a little bit more. I hope.
Definitely.
I hope.
Oh, for sure it is, I think.
Because if
no dumb questions when it comes to art.
I think there may be one with how come you put skulls where dicks are? That's I'm just kidding.
That old chestnut. Huh?
Yeah. How many people have asked you that question?
Hey, I've had heaps of comments on certain paintings, that people have asked that. Sorry, I'll have people asking me that in questions on Instagram or whatever, and I'll just say because it's awesome. That's why.
Yeah.
And it will never stop being awesome.
No.
So.
I'm waiting for this. I'm waiting for the skulls to get bigger. Again, thank you, Ben. I'm going to mess up your last name again. Conallin.
Yep.
Thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me on, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, and tell everyone who's listening where they can find all of your stuff. If you have a store where your art is that they can purchase, all of that good stuff.
Okay. You can find me at Instagram at Benjamin_Conallin, Facebook under Ben Conallin, I think it is. There will be a store coming soon, which I will announce on both my social medias. I am on Twitter. I just can't remember what my handle is on that because I've only been on it for the last couple of months, and I don't know. I just haven't really looked properly at it in a
Fair
way.
enough.
Like I post stuff on there, but I just don't look at what my name looks like on there. I think it's B Conallin, I think.
All right. One last question. I ask all my guests this. What's your favorite Tool lyric?
Oh, shit. You put me on the spot here.
Well, that just means you have one.
Yeah, I mean, wear the grudge like a crown. There we go.
Yeah, that's a powerful one. And I almost feel like some of your figures wear something that may look like a grudge as a crown.
Yeah. So you're right, actually.
And then the last question I always ask, since you are a collector, what is your holy grail of collections? I know you had that Joker that was really expensive, but is there something out there where you're like, can't wait to get my hands on that? There
is a Predator 1/3 scale piece that's coming out, which I did pre-order, which means, I put down like $100 or so on it, but this is like $3,500. It doesn't come out till next year. Like it's the original Predator, look,
Yeah.
Whether I can get that cash together in time is another question. So we'll see.
Just drop a couple of posters, man. You'll be fine.
Be so awesome. But yeah.
So again, thank you for listening. Thank you, Ben, for coming on. Again, follow him on Instagram at Ben Conallin, on all the social medias, and we'll figure out his Twitter later.
No.
What a great guy, right? I really love what he's doing. I think he's a great individual. I think he's a really smart fellow. I wish nothing but fame and fortune for that guy. He really should be working in video games and movies. Somebody hire this guy. Somebody pay that guy a lot of money to make monsters. I want to see those on the big screen. Nonetheless, Tool is touring in Europe right now. Those who listen to the show know that I've been releasing almost daily episodes about each poster that drops. And so thank you. The response to those have been very good. I'll continue to do them if you continue to listen. Nine Inch Nails started touring. Seems like their merch booth is a lot more chill than Tool's. I recently went to Deftones VIP and will be talking with a person many of you know for a full episode. Can't wait for that one. We have a lot of cool episodes coming up. Camille Rose Garcia, who did the Napa poster, going to be on the show soon. Nate Hill, who did Omaha, had a great conversation. Peter Gnader, who built Danny Carey's synth box, will be on the show soon. Got a lot of cool people coming up. So keep listening. The giveaway. We are going to be giving away a Tool syringe. Go to our Facebook, find our Instagram to see the rules and regulations. It's not very hard. So again, thank you for listening. Good luck. Spiral out.